had a ton of you guys comment on my macro iPhone 13 Pro videos asking me how I get these incredibly smooth zoom shots. So here's 5 ways to start getting better macro shots with your iPhone 13 Pro. When you're filming with the iPhone 13 Pro, as you get closer to an object, there'll be a moment where it will switch between the main camera and the macro camera. And when that happens, there'll be this kind of punchy jump shift, and you'll actually see that in your footage. Luckily, there are a few ways that you can avoid this, which brings us to tip number 1. Zoom out and not in. When you start with the camera up close, it's already on the macro lens, and then as you pull it away, it'll never switch between the cameras. It just stays in the macro lens the entire time, and you won't get the weird camera switch in your footage. Then if you want to, you can reverse the video in post so that it looks like you were zooming in, even though it was the other way around when you filmed it. Now the second thing that you can do to avoid the camera switching problem is to set your phone to the ultra-wide lens before you hit record. The ultra-wide camera on the iPhone 13 Pro is the camera that the phone uses to shoot macro photos and videos. So by manually selecting to use the ultra-wide lens before you hit record, you'll be able to avoid having the phone switch between cameras in the middle of your video. Now in order to get the maximum amount of macro zoom out of this particular setting, you're gonna wanna make sure that the camera is set to 4K video recording, and then in post, after you've recorded the video, you can add a digital crop that will crop into that 4K image, giving you even more macro. So at the point where you couldn't physically push the camera any closer to the object without the object touching the lens of the camera, that's where the digital zoom is gonna start and punch in even further, giving you more macro. Tip number 3, don't tap to focus. If you want to take a picture, you can tap to focus and that's fine. But when you're trying to take a macro video, if you tap to focus, then it locks the focus in and it won't readjust as you pull the camera away, and everything will just get blurry. So what you have to do when you're taking macro video is just put the camera up close to an object and then just wait for the autofocus to adjust, then hit record, and don't ever tap to focus. Then as you pull the camera away, the autofocus will track the object and keep it in focus throughout the whole video. Tip number 4, use lots and lots of light. The more light, the more detail. This Colbor CL100M video light works really well, but if you don't have a big professional light like this, don't worry, shooting outside in bright natural sunlight will work really good as well. And if you are gonna be shooting inside, just make sure you're next to some big bright windows. Tip number 5, use a camera slider. If you're on a budget, then a hand-operated manual camera slider like this can work well, but if you really wanna take things up a notch and get those super professional looking shots, then I would recommend getting an electric camera slider. I really like the SlidePod Pro. It gives you tons of control and precision, and this is what I use for filming all of my macro zoom shots. So if you guys want any of this gear, lights or camera sliders, links for all this stuff down in the description below. Also, if you're looking for some good music to use in your YouTube videos, then make sure to check out Audio. This is where I get all of the royalty-free music for my entire YouTube channel. What I really like about Audio is that they offer lifetime subscriptions, which means you only have to pay once and then you get all of the music on their website for the rest of your life, which saves you tons of money when it comes to royalty-free music. Links for them in the description below as well. If you want to see more macro iPhone 13 Pro videos, then I'll put some of those up right here. Don't forget to subscribe, guys, and I'll see y'all next time.